Hi, I'm Heather. Welcome to class. Today we're going to do a short sequence working with our shoulder strength and mobility, and we're going to use a chair. So taking our chair, we'll sit on the front edge of the chair so that we've got room to take the hands on the chair behind us. Establish hip width knees and feet and press the hands into the seat as you roll your shoulders back and down. Now commonly when we do that, we go into pushing the belly forward. Just momentarily, let's see if we can contain the abdomen and restrain the back ribs towards your arms. So you're not relying on the mobility of the spine to give you the sense that you're opening your shoulders. You're actually restraining the spine, the ribs, and moving into the shoulders. So shoulder tips press back. Shoulder tips meaning the very top of the upper arm bone. Press the shoulder tips back and you feel the biceps will roll out. So shoulder tips pressing back and down. And now exaggerate that by giving yourself a bit more of an arch in the back. Roll the shoulders back and down and feel the thoracic spine move deeply in towards the sternum, the breastbone. Breastbone broad, collarbones broad, and then come back to neutral. Rest your hands on your thighs. So we're going to see if we can take that a step further by then moving our hips off the chair. Hands onto the chair seat, roll the shoulders back and down, and take the hips off the chair seat, still rolling your shoulder tips back and down. You feel the front arms are long. The back of the pelvis can touch the front of the seat as we now start to bend the elbows. And when you bend the elbows, watch the shoulders don't creep forward. See if you can keep the elbows pointing back behind you, shoulder tips rolling back, elbows staying within your shoulder width. The back of the pelvis is just touching the front of the seat of the chair. Then push back so that you can come back to sit on your chair, rest your arms. Take a breath or two. Let's go once more. Reach the hands back to the chair seat, roll the shoulders back and down. Take the hips forward off the seat, bend the elbows, shoulder tips back and down, chest lifting. So now let's think not just of the breastbone lifting, but the armpit chest, the sides of the chest. Lift them up as the elbows bend. Hips descend and then straighten the arms, come back to sit on your chair and bring your spine back to neutral. Notice your breath. You may feel there's a little bit, because we're active, there's a more need for the breath. We might feel a bit puffed. Can you stabilize the breath? Can you steady the breath? So with that kind of mobility, let's see, can we interlock the fingers behind us and pull the knuckles towards the chair seat? So it's good if you're sitting well forward, you've got the chair seat behind you, pull the knuckles towards the chair seat and roll the shoulder tips back and down. So if possible, the heels of the hands are touching, but again, we're not thrusting the belly forward in a deep lumbar arch. Can you keep the navel lifted and the back ribs broad? Shoulder tips back and down, shoulder blades down the back. And then release that grip. It's common we work with our favorite interlock. Let's do our least favorite or our unfavored interlock, opposite index finger on top. Pull the hands away from you, roll the shoulder tips back and down. Elbows are straight, so we're getting length through the front of the upper arm and shoulder. Restrain the lower abdomen. Draw the navel up. Back ribs broad. And then release the arms. So we're going to take that opening in the shoulders, collarbone region now into an up-face dog pose variation, utilizing the chair. So as we come to stand, turn around to face your chair, take your hands on either sides of the seat of the chair. And then we'll walk the legs back. As we walk the legs back, then bring your pelvis forward towards the forearms. So we're passing through what we could call the plank pose. Pelvis starts to come forward to the forearms, but then we need to make sure there's room for the width of the rib cage between our upper arms. So you could bend the elbows to the side, scoop the chest forward, so then you feel you're coming more into a back bend, and the pelvic bones are coming to the forearms. Pelvic bones can come to touch the forearms. If your feet are too far back, and your pelvis is too far back, it's likely your weight will collapse into the lumbar and you'll drop through your shoulders. Can you walk forward enough? The pelvis comes to the forearms, chest scoops through, and you're driving the hands down into the floor, lifting the bicep muscles up, shoulder tips press back and down, and the tailbone lengthens to the heels as the shin bones press up. Now, a moment of reprieve as we pull the hips back. Straighten your spine, strong straight legs. So we're opening the back of the knees, the back of the thighs, lengthening the side body, so sides of the waist, armpit, chest long as you press the head of the thighs back. A few steady breaths here. Let's come forward again. So look forward, you raise the head up. As you start to move the hips forward, pelvis forward, you can bend the elbows, scoop the chest through. Between the upper arms, you squeeze the side ribs with the upper arms, drive your hands down into the chair to lift up the bicep muscles, press the shoulder tips back and down. Feel your shoulder blades press deeply into the back to lift the breastbone up. Now look up, lift your chin. Keep the base of the skull off the back body. So you're maintaining some length in the back of the neck as you look up. And then pull the hips back. Back to our moment of reprieve. We could call this our down face dog pose variation or a half Uttanasana. Half intense stretch pose, opening the back of the knees, the back of the thighs, lengthen the side body. Smooth, steady breathing. So let's move in and out of our up face dog back to this pose a few times on the breath. Raise the head up, look forward. Inhale, come forward, look up. Exhale, pull the hips back. Look forward. Inhale. Scoop the chest through. Look forward and up. Exhale. Pull the hips back. Heels descend. Forward. So you look forward. Chest comes through. Inhale. Exhale. Pull the hips back. Plug the heels down. Look forward. Inhale. Upward facing dog. Exhale. Downward facing. Inhale. Last one. And exhale. Pull the hips back. Walk forward so you can rest the arms, whether it suits you to have the forearms on the chair seat, forward on your forearms, or if you're feeling a little stiffer in the legs or the back, you put your hands on the top of the chair. Either way, you rest. Allow the head and the heart to rest. The legs can stay active, keeping the grip of the kneecaps, activation through the front thighs and the waist lengthening as the torso settles. Slowly then, raise the head up, raise the torso up, come out of the pose. with that opening through the shoulders. We're going to come down onto the floor. So let's put our chair aside. We come down onto the floor for Chatush Padasana, which is our four-footed pose. When we lie down, we want to feel, as we're lifting up into the pose, that not only have we got our 2 feet, but our shoulders act as 2 feet. See if you can bring your feet in close to the hips, fingers touching the heels, to give you an indication of how close you want the feet. Then catch the outer edges of the mat. When we lift up, we're going to mobilize the shoulders somewhat by rolling the biceps out and turning that upper arm bone in such a way that we're broadening the chest and standing more on the tops of the shoulders. Inhale. Press through the inner feet as you exhale. Lift your hips up and then walk from one shoulder to the other so that you can press that shoulder tip down, stand on the tops of the shoulders, dig your upper arm bones down into the floor to give you more lift in the chest. So we're open across the collarbones and the front shoulders. Keep the feet tracking parallel to each other, thighs parallel to each other. So not letting the knees and feet swing out wide. Now as we come down, undo the roll of the shoulders and settle onto the floor so that you can rest. Relax there. Now, if you feel you can go perhaps a little further, when we lift the hips up, we'll work to interlock the fingers underneath the hips and pull the knuckles towards the feet side. If you can bring the heels of the hands together and the elbows straight, that's where we're headed. So again, feet in close to you. Inhale deeply. Exhale, lift the hips up as you drive the feet down, interlock the fingers underneath the buttocks, and then pull the hands, the knuckles towards your feet. Gently roll, one shoulder under, other shoulder under. You can do that a couple of times, a little bit of walking from shoulder to shoulder so that you can roll the shoulders well under, broaden the chest, drive the upper arm bones down. And so that gives rise to the chest. Breastbone lifting, armpit chest lifting, inner thighs rolling down. Now let's undo the roll of the shoulders. Come down all the way. Relax your arms. Keeping the knees bent so your lower back has a chance to settle. We're going to repeat that and we'll go with our opposite index finger interlocking on top. So again, feet in close to you. Inhale deeply. Exhale, drive the feet down as you lift your hips up. Interlock the opposite index finger on top. Pull the knuckles towards the feet and gently walk shoulder to shoulder so you can tuck your shoulder tips under, stand on the tops of the shoulders and drive the upper arm bones down. Elbows straight. As you drive the upper arm bones down into the floor, you get the rebound effect. Breastbone lifting towards the chin, armpit chest vertically up towards the ceiling. And now undo the roll of the shoulders, undo the grip of the fingers, settle on the back and rest. Let the knees rest against each other, keeping the feet on the floor, knees bent. Draw the knees into the chest. Feel the lower back lengthen and broaden. And then you can release that grip, feet on the floor. You can repeat that, hugging the knees into the chest for as long as you need if you feel the lower back is feeling the back bend expression that happened in Chatush Padasana. Otherwise, extend the legs out, rest in Shavasana for some time. That's it for today. Thanks for joining me.